2015, an elite DFS Army Commando unit formed to bring high-level DFS strategy to the masses. Today, hated by DFS sharks and lineup sellers alike, they continue their quest to turn dope into DFS pros.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is your DFS Army Daily Dispatch brought to you by DFSArmy.com, and I am your host today, BoomersDaddy, going solo for everybody. So it should be a quicker pod today because Bear is on vacation. He is enjoying himself in lovely Mexico, and I don't think it's good for, well, it might be good for ratings to bring in a drunk Bear, but don't think it would be very helpful for our DFS lineups tonight. So we're gonna go through this real quick. We're gonna go game by game here, just because it's only me. That way I can kind of go over a couple things. We're gonna start with Boston and Toronto. His total right now is a 218 with Boston hitting a -2 on the spread. I honestly don't have a lot of interest from a DFS standpoint in this game. It's a very, these are two of the better defensive teams in the NBA right now. If you look at their ADVP matchups on both sides, the only real positive matchup would be a power forward spot for the Boston Celtics going against the Toronto Raptors. And for me, that's not really a spot that has shown a lot of profit. If Marcus Morris happens to be out, then obviously we would look to Jason Tatum in this spot. Jaylen Brown is actually the one that's going to get the boost a little bit. He's been the one that's been a little bit more aggressive. He saw a little bit more of the minutes bump as well. But both of these guys they've got to get it going. It's one of those things like, you know, if for Boston to be where they want to be, they have to have a very, very productive combination of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You can actually add into that fact as well, Gordon Hayward. Now, let's talk about Hayward here for a second. Hayward is 6,200 on Fanduel. He is a whopping 5,400 on DraftKings. This is a 7 to 8K player when he is going right and he's healthy. He doesn't look quite healthy yet, but I'm still going to be buying on the discount because I don't think he's going to be really high owned. We have him projected probably where he's going to be at, but as soon as it's just like with the Kyrie Irving thing, as soon as he gets healthy and as soon as he starts being aggressive, he's going to start putting up 35s, 40s, 45s, and then reaching his ceiling towards 60. And I don't want to be a day late on that to where the price ends up adjusting and accounting for him being healthy. The minutes restriction is gone. And I actually really, really love the fact that even though it's a very tough matchup, a very, very tough matchup, and that's why I think he's going to be low owned, I actually don't mind going to him in some tournament lineups because of this. Now, Kawhi's not a guy I usually, try to pick on, but the price is just so right that it's going to be very, very hard for me to not have, at least 15 to 20%, and hoping that I catch one of those profit games, especially on DraftKings where he's 5,400. So that's really all I have from this game. You've got Serge Ibaka that's probably going to start today. Jonas Valanciunas, they're both kind of cheap. The Celtics don't really rebound a lot, but you're going to see a lot of Aaron Baines probably tonight. And I think right now we've got him projected at 11 minutes. I think you're going to end up seeing more than that. Just, he's going to kind of mirror and mimic Valanciunas. So if Valanciunas sees 20 minutes, you're probably going to see Aaron Baines hit right there around that 16 to 18 mark. So As far as the guards and everything concerned here, probably not going to play a lot of them. If I do have anybody, just because Danny Green's dealing with a little bit of a back issue, I might take a shot or two on Jaylen Brown, but it's only in deeper tournaments where I'm building a ton of lineups. He's not going to be a part of my main core or my main rotation at that position today. So let's go on to Philly and Utah here. This is a big game. It's Jimmy Butler's home debut. And it's, one of those that a lot of people are going to be buying into the narrative. Utah's a very, very good defensive team usually. And, Jimmy Butler's 8,300 on FanDuel. We've seen him up to that 9,400 mark before when he was with Minnesota. I'm not really sure how I stand or feel on this. He came out, had a really good first quarter against Orlando the other day, but he kind of faded off as Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid kind of started to take, over that game. So it's one of those things like I don't think I'm going to be having a lot of Jimmy Butler tonight. It's especially at this position, it's kind of a show me first type of thing. I think he's going to be okay in time, but getting integrated into this offense and being able to play second fiddle to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid isn't going to be easy. On the other hand, Ben Simmons has kind of struggled the last couple games, and I think I'm going to go take a shot back on him in tournaments. Definitely not going to touch him in cash games. I'm going to be paying down a little bit more in cash games at the point guard position. But in tournaments, I absolutely do love this. I love pairing him with Joel Embiid. It's not cheap. It's about $20,000 on FanDuel. But you have, 100, 110 point upside, especially, with the perception that a lot of people aren't going to pick on Utah just because of the fact that Utah still has that stigma of playing at a very slow pace. Now, they've sped it up this year, but they've slowed it down recently a little bit. So I always worry about pace with teams when they're going into another venue. And if Philly was going into Utah, then I would have a little bit more worry about the pace of this game than, Utah going into Philly. So I do like this game a little bit for tournaments. I really do like Rudy Gobert in tournaments at 8,100. Not a lot of people are going to go there. They're not going to pick on Joel Embiid. It's just not something that a lot of people do. And we've seen that Rudy Gobert, even though he's having trouble kind of adjusting on the defensive end, which is why I think that Embiid is fine in tournaments, he's not having any trouble on the offensive end. And he's, still going to continue to give you the points with the blocks and the rebounds, not only with the putbacks and assists as well. Another guy I kind of like tonight in this game is Wilson Chandler. We saw the minutes kind of go up a little bit. He's still very, very, very cheap on FanDuel. He played 23 minutes the other night. I've got him slated for around 26, and I really do like this guy. This play on FanDuel in tournaments tonight. I don't think that he's going to be highly owned. I think that there's other value that people are going to kind of flock to. So I'll be having my eye on the Wilson Chandler news throughout the day to see if those minutes are going to creep up anymore. So let's go to Washington and Brooklyn here. This is going to be a high scoring total. It's the third highest total on the slate, currently 223. With Washington actually at a -6 spread. I don't foresee this being a blowout at all, and there's a lot of plays that we're going to be able to go to in this game. First off, let's start with Dwight Howard and the Washington Wizards. Howard is a guy that I don't think is priced out yet. He's $7K on FanDuel, and he is a whopping 5,700 on DraftKings. I'm going to continue to go there, especially with especially with the fact that, Brooklyn's versus or centers versus Brooklyn's is still kind of a thing. It's one of those things I continuously try to pick on, and I very much will, especially since his price keeps falling. If I can get around 28 to 30 minutes, then I think I should be happy. He's more of a play on DraftKings than on Fanduel for me, but I still don't mind it on Fanduel at all, even at the 7K. John Wall on Fanduel, no thanks. Over 10K, he's 10-2. I'd much rather play Bradley Beal. And that's probably about it. Most of my plays are actually coming from the opposite side and from Brooklyn. D'Angelo Russell, 7-2. He's going to put up some shots. We saw that the other night with Karis LeVert out. He is one of their main options now as far as shooting the basketball. Only played 23 minutes the other night. The game, it was kind of a bad game script for him. And it just kind of got out of hand. Spencer Dinwiddie, 6K, going to go back there. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, going to play close to 30 minutes. I'm going to go there. If you notice the theme here, I tend to like to pick on the Washington Wizards right now. Positive ADVP matchups all the way across the board. And especially if our boy Jared Allen is in, I'm going to be loading up on him. He's actually, barring the news, my favorite center of the day. Joe Harris, 4,600, going to put up some shots. We saw it the other night. He was actually very, very much involved. Didn't have that as good of a game as I expected him to, but it was really just because his shot wasn't falling. And don't mind going back there. Alan Crabb, 4,200, going to play close to 28 minutes. He's very, very, very streaky. He can get hot and cold with the best of them, and it's a great tournament play at his price to be able to go there. So if Jared Allen happens to be out, Ed Davis would get a massive bump in minutes as well. Let's see here. The last couple games without Jared Allen, he's played 16 and 21 minutes, but he's eclipsed the 20 fantasy point mark both times, and he almost hit 30 one time. So I don't mind going back to him, especially in this matchup as well. Indiana and Miami, 214 total. Indiana with a 5-point spread in their favor. I'm not sure what to do with this game. I like. Is it going to be a Hassan Whiteside game? I don't know. Victor Oladipo is kind of priced at his ceiling, in my opinion, at 9,900. Still a good play, but not as good of a play as I'd want, especially at the position tonight. When you're looking at it, I think he's a better play on DraftKings at 9,300. But it's not that bad. My plays in this game are going to come from the lower end of the spectrum. Darren Collison is 5,000 on FanDuel, and he's probably going to play close to 30 minutes. I like going with some value at the point guard position today. Goran Dragic is another good play that I like. I love a ping pong option in tournaments here. Domantas Sabonis is probably going to see a lot of the Justice Winslow, Derek Jones Jr. combo if Jones Jr. ends up playing. It's just I like attacking the front court of the Miami Heat tonight, and it's going to be with mainly the Domantas Sabonis and possibly with a Thad Young, if I need to go there. So it's one of those things like. I want to so bad to play Miles Turner, but I'm not sure I'm going to unless Jared Allen is out. He would be my direct kind of pivot for that game. So Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do in that game. Minnesota and Portland. This is going to be a great basketball game, in my opinion. Portland is a road favorite at -1. This totals at a 222. Lots of things that I like in this game. Let's start with the first guy, obviously. Karl-Anthony Towns, 10-6. He's going to be going up against Yusuf Nurkic. I like the upside here. He's one of the only guys that I really do like over 10-6. I will talk about the other guys. I like them all over the 10K mark on FanDuel, but he's one of the guys that I think could actually start to test his ceiling today. Damian Lillard, 9-4. Obviously, he's Damian Lillard. Love the tournament play there. We saw Yusuf Nurkic kind of go off the other night. He gets another good matchup. Karl-Anthony Towns has never, ever been mistaken for being a good defender. He's got the ability to have another good game. Robert Covington had a great game the other night as his first in a Timberwolves uniform. He's still 6,500. Al-Farouq Aminu is going to be matched up with Taj Gibson a lot, so he's not going to have to pay as much attention on the defensive end. I love Aminu tonight at 5,400. I love him on DraftKings as well at his price, which is 4,900. Evan Turner is going to be handling with the way that Portland's been running their rotations a lot this year. They're sitting CJ McCollum and Dame at the same time, and Evan Turner's running a lot of that point guard role with Seth Curry. With the second unit. And so 4,400 for a guy that's going to see a lot of the second team usage. I love that. Dario Saric, probably not going to go there. He is going to see a lot of Aminu. Not worried about Aminu in this aspect, but I'm not going to touch Saric as he continues to find his way. And then if you want to get crazy in tournaments on DraftKings, Zach Collins is going to play around 20 minutes in the backup 5 spot, and he's only 3,600 on DraftKings. So kind of where I'm looking in this game. New York and New Orleans, it's a 10-point spread. Total is 227, and I like a lot of the young guys for the Knicks. Let's start there. They are obviously Tim Hardaway Jr. If the Knicks keep this close, he's going to have a good game. Unfortunately, he's going to see a lot of Drew Holiday. And the key here is if Elfrid Payton is in the game. If Payton starts, I'm off of Tim Hardaway, and mainly because he's going to see a lot more of Drew, and Drew's not going to have to be worried about running a lot of the ball handling duties. So he's going to be able to pay a little bit more attention on defense and not focus more on the offensive end. Noah Vonleh is just going to rebound the heck out of the ball. He's 4,400. He's in a great spot. We've seen Enes Kanter's price kind of drop a little bit. He's not a bad spot, not a bad play, but if this game gets out of hand, he's not going to play a ton of minutes on the back end of it either. So for that reason, I actually really do love Kevin Knox. He's going to be playing a lot of that backup 3 position as well. Or sorry, not backup 3. He's going to be playing a lot of that 3 position as well. And I'm not really worried about any sort of defense that the Pelicans can throw out there at him on that front. Emmanuel Mudiay is going to be starting at the point guard position, and I'm not sure what to do about Mudiay yet because I'm not sure how many minutes he's going to actually get. We've got him sitting here at 22 right now. The problem with that is that if he ends up getting hot or ends up actually, being able to control this offense, he could play closer to 25. And I think I'd have a little bit more interest if that projection of minutes played gets up to the 25 minute mark. Mitchell Robertson's going to start, obviously, and then you've got Alonzo Trier that is going to play a lot of the 2 spot as well. And Trier's going to take a lot of shots. He's 4,500, and we've seen him pay off that price tag before. So I don't mind going there. A lot of these guys, a lot of the Knicks are going to be tournament only for me. I'm not going to touch them a lot in cash because, if this game gets out of hand, Fizdale could pull the plug and, just kind of start rolling out guys like Ron Baker and, Damian Dotson and, guys like that. So for the Pelicans, obviously AD is in play. In order to play AD, this is very important. In order to play Anthony Davis today, I have to run him back with somebody from the Knicks. I would probably prefer that to be Tim Hardaway Jr., but I don't mind running it back with a guy like Noah Vonleh and Tim Hardaway Jr. either. The reason I say that is because in order for Anthony Davis to reach his ceiling in tournaments, to pop out a 70, 65, 70, 80 mark, this game has to stay close throughout the whole four quarters. So I don't think that AD is going to have a lot of trouble getting to 50, 55, but I'm rostering AD. I'm spending 12.8 on Fanduel. I'm spending, I'm spending 11.4 on DraftKings in order to get to that 65, 70, 80 mark. And in order to do that, I have to have guys that are going to play four quarters. Drew Holiday, Nikola Mirotic, Julius Randle, all guys I really do love. Each-one Moore, Wesley Johnson, they're going to be dependent on me if Elfrid Payton plays or not. If Payton sits, I like Moore and Wesley Johnson a lot better. If he's in, then I'm probably not going to have much exposure to Each-one Moore or Wesley Johnson. I actually really like Drew Holiday on both sites, no matter what. But like I said, my interest in Tim Hardaway Jr. actually depends on whether or not Elfrid Payton is in the game. Not that Payton is going to guard him, but it's going to basically throw out there who Drew's going to guard for a lot of the games. So I do like Julius Randle. He kind of sticks out. A guy that's going to get you a lot of boards. He can knock down a shot. Nikola Mirotic, 7,300. These guys are all in play. And if Elfrid Payton is anywhere close to this 26-minute mark, I have him currently projected as if he was playing today, then I might have some interest in pairing him up with guys like Mirotic or Drew Holiday or even Anthony Davis. This is a great game stack, but in order for you to get your ceilings out of these guys, the game has to stay close. So don't go overboard in cash games, especially on these games. So let's move on to the next game here. Memphis and Sacramento. This game I like this game, but I'm scared about this game. I think it's going to be a close game. And I think it's going to be a very good game, in my opinion, from a basketball standpoint, mainly because Sacramento's been playing well so far this season, and they've got some guys that can actually put the ball in the hoop now. The problem is that Memphis in the grindhouse is never an easy place to play. They like to slow down the pace, to slow down the tempo, and one of the strengths with Sacramento is getting out in transition. This is also the return of Dave Yeager to Memphis. So he kind of knows how these guys like to play. And I honestly think he's going to have these guys ready. I think it's a better basketball game than it is from a fantasy standpoint. But let's go over a couple guys that I actually really do love in this game. The first guy is Marc Gasol. I'm going to be pairing him up a lot with Mike Conley. And then I'm going to be running him back with a guy like Buddy Hield or De'Aaron Fox. Those are just guys like I want exposure to both sides of this game if I'm playing anybody. I love Mike Conley in cash. I love Marc Gasol in cash. I don't think you have to go there, but they are cash game viable. Jaren Jackson is another good guy for the Memphis Grizzlies that I really like because he's not priced out yet. He's going to play over 30 minutes and he can test his ceiling in this matchup, which is a positive matchup for him. Guys like Willie Cauley-Stein, I'm actually off. De'Aaron Fox, I'm not excited about, especially in cash games, because Mike Conley's actually shown that he's very good at defending. He looks healthy again. Shelvin Mack, I'm going to be using in my cash games as the backup point guard, and Kyle Anderson is in play for tournaments as well. On the Sacramento side, Buddy Hield is a guy that can always get hot. We've seen his price kind of drop a couple $100, so I don't mind going there. And then Marvin Bagley is a guy I can't really get a hold of. He's cheap. He's going to play the minutes, and we've seen him put up points before, but I think this is a tougher matchup, and I'm probably not going to go there with high exposures. He'll be in my player pool, but he's not a guy I have to have. If he ends up making the cut because he just kind of fits within the scheme of what I'm trying to do in that lineup, then that's fine. But he's not a guy that I'm going to stress if he's not in that lineup. It's just kind of how it's working for me right now. So guys like Bogdanovic and Nemanja Bjelica, they've got my interest, but as of right now, they're probably not going to make it into a ton of lineups. Especially anything close to like a 3-entry max or a 5-entry max, and definitely not in my cash games. So I don't have to worry about that there. The final game of the night, the Hammer game, is kind of a little weird because it's still in the Central Time Zone. In Milwaukee, we've got a 14.5 point spread with the total being 224.5. They're going into Chicago. I love Giannis. Giannis is basically making his way into a ton of my lineups. And I'm going to be bringing him back with a guy probably like a Wendell Carter Jr., who's got the better of the matchups out of the Bulls tonight. I'm more apt to play guys like Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe, maybe even a Brook Lopez, because they're not as expensive, and it just means I can go play a Joel Embiid or a Anthony Davis in my lineup as well. But for cash games, Giannis, it's really, really hard to fade Giannis, especially since he's 11.5. Zach LaVine, I'm a little worried about tonight. I think he's priced kind of at his max for me on Fanduel. On DraftKings, he is 7,800. He's a little bit better over there. He's going to handle a lot of the ball handling duties, but he's also going to see a lot of Giannis and Chris Middleton, and he's got that length. This is a very difficult matchup, in my opinion, for Zach LaVine. And if he's going to turn out to be chalk, I think I'm probably going to fade him. Wendell Carter Jr. is finding his way into a ton of my lineups on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I love him tonight. And Justin Holiday on DraftKings in tournaments is 4,500. I don't mind him there at all either. Let's talk about. I still haven't learned quite how to pronounce his name yet, so forgive me. I'm going to call him Arcidiacono. Semp is going to probably crush me for this one. He's going to play 30 minutes. He's 4,500. Not the greatest matchup, but in tournaments, if that's where you want to go for a value point guard option, I don't mind that at all. Not going to play, obviously, Cameron Payne, Chandler Hutchinson, any of these guys. Thon Maker on DraftKings is min price. John Henson has been ruled out. In the event of a blowout, I think Thon Maker pushes the 20 to 22 minute mark, and at min price, he can definitely clean up. He can get you around that 10x or close to it. So if I'm playing the blowout card in this, I don't like doing that. I really, really don't. But if you're building 150 lineups, I don't mind throwing him into 5 to 10% of your lineups, especially at his price on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he is 3,500 as well, so he's not a bad little play over there in your 150 lineup max build either. So that's going to do it for us today. Short, quick, simple, to the point. I miss Bear. I miss having that strategy interaction talk. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of content out later on. Boomers Ballers is going to be out hopefully a little bit later. I'm going to start working on that as soon as I get done posting this. And we're going to have all of our coaches and everybody in our chat rooms as well. So for the DFS Army for today, guys, let's make some money on this Friday. Peace out.